Today we're going through the three pre-North Western Railway grouping railways in the 10.2F universe, starting with the Sodor and Mainland Railway, which starts at Bowering-Furness and ends at Marren, which ran from 1857 to 1914. Here is the 13 engines of its fleet. Clive Nielsen, built in 1856. And is currently on display at Crovens Gate Railway Museum. Neil Boxington, also built in 1856 but about a week apart from Clive. As of 2026, he is now pulling excursion trains from Cowsthorpe down to Kirkrowan and then to Normanby. Matthew Kevin Michelson, also built in 1856 but about 3 days after Neil. He is also on display at Crovens Gate Preservation Society Museum. And yes, that's the full name of it. And from here we hit a bit of a gap before the fourth engine, which is Aubrey. She was built at Crovens Gate in 1864. Yes, it looks like the GER 209 class, but this was a prototype and she has nothing related to them. She is also on display at Crovens Gate Preservation Society Museum. Abby and Dorothy. These pair were built in 1850 and arrived in 1868. They pulled larger passenger trains and goods trains, and as of 2026 they are also along with Neil pulling excursion trains. Naylor Eugene Logan, built in 1871 at Crovens Gate. She used to shunt at Kirkrowan Harbour and she still does now after being discovered in a shed in the 80s. Joseph Nolan, built in 1856 and arrived in 1873. He helped to build Vickerstown, also on display at Crovens Gate Preservation Society Museum. Arnold McKinley, built in 1869 and arrived in 1879. He pulled larger goods trains from Normanby to Vickerstown. He is also on display at Crovens Gate Preservation Society Museum, and as of 2026 he is now currently going under an overhaul. Billy Shakefeathers, built and arrived in 1882 by Manning Wardle. After the disclosure of 1914, he was sent to shunt in the Midlands at the coal plant. He ran into certain pair of twins from the Caledonian Railway, if you know what I mean. Wink wink. Vincent Alexander, built in 1875 and arrived in 1888 by the London South Western Railway. And now, as of 2026, he is now shunting at Kirkrowan Station, so that technically makes him the station pilot. Dominic is a Caledonian Railway 721 class built in 1896, and he arrived in the same year. He came back to the North Western Railway and he is the North Western Railway's number 37. I still need a date for him to figure out when he came. Bryson is a Barry Railway K class built in 1899 and he arrived in 1900. And unfortunately, he's the only member of the Sodor and Mainland Railway that died. He died in 1916 due to a horrific boiler explosion. Mr. Technically not part of the Sodor and Mainland Railway, but he did bank on the Preston Incline between 1911 and 1919. Now the Wellsworth and Sudbury Railway from 1883 to 1915. Albert, built in 1881 and arrived in 1883 to build the railway. He is now on display at Crovens Gate Railway Museum, but sometimes takes rail excursions from Crovens Gate to Sudbury. Reuben, built in 1883 and arrived the same year. She died in 1914 after a horrific accident by the technically number 8 engine Emily, if you know what I mean. Ruth, built in 1855 and arrived in 1884. She was the goods engine back in the day, and now runs excursion trains from Wellsworth down to Brendam. She's part of the Wellsworth Preservation Society. Theodore, built in 1875 and arrived in 1885. He pulled some passenger trains, also on static display at Crovens Gate Preservation Society Museum. Julius Oliver, Built in 1864 and arrived in 1886, and was given her tender on the 25th of December 1886. She is also part of the Wellsworth Preservation Society, pulling demonstration passenger trains from Wellsworth to Brandon. William Perseverance, aka Willie. Built in 1868 and arrived in 1889. Unfortunately, he's the second dead member of the Wellsworth and Sudbury Railway. He passed away in 1934 due to metal fatigue. Jock Frankinson. Built in 1875 and arrived in 1893 as heavy goods engine at the time. He is preserved by the Wellsworth Preservation Society. And finally, the Tidmouth, Knapford and Elsbridge Railway from 1875 to 1915. Here are the 7 engines of the TK&E's fleet. Starting with Glenmurphin. Built in 1871 and arrived in 1875. He is on static display at Tidmouth Sedge Railway Museum. Chloris. Built in 1871 and arrived in 1875. He is painted in the very first Northwestern Railway sky blue. Apart from a major accident in 1885, he is still alive today. Also preserved at Tidmouth Sedge Railway Museum. Conrad Susan. Built in 1872, and after a derailment in 1875, he was rebuilt with an 06 wheel configuration, and he takes excursion trains from Tidmouth to Elsbridge. Clifford Tanson. Built on the 2nd of February 1875. He was given his tender after a nasty accident on the 6th of September 1875, also pulling excursion trains from Tidmouth to Elsbridge. Lady Crystal. Built in 1880 at Knapford Sheds. She is still working to this day at Marston Heights Coal Mine on the Little Western. Tid Waskow. Built in 1881 at Tidmouth Works. He is known for having the most funniest shape on the Northwestern Railway. He also runs small excursion trains from Tidmouth to Elsbridge. Sir Elizabeth. Built in 1871 and arrived in 1888. She is on display at Tidmouth Sheds Railway Museum, but also goes out sometimes to pull the rail excursion. Wow, that was a long episode. Coming up next time is the deep dive of this amazing trio, Ethan, Nick and Simon, the Northwestern Railways number 31, 32 and 33.